Yo, what up, good people? Welcome back to Millennials vs. the World and another segment of the Monday Night Crew, the only spot you get authenticity and entertainment at the same time. It's your boy K. Mims. I got Lewis. I got Jay. Princess right now, she holding it down for the ladies. They'll be tapping in later. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start this episode off by saying this. Shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson, bro. Like,
Shout out to her.
like everybody wanted to. I ain't gonna say I didn't write her off. I ain't really have too much to say, but like that's epitome of the strength of a black woman right there. Like the way she was down and the whole world was against her. And the crazy part to me is I'm gonna try not to go off on a rant. The craziest part to me is that nobody is celebrating her right now the way they was on her when she messed up.
Absolutely.
And I just want to shout her out because she a world champion now. And you can't take that away from her no matter which way you want to flip it, no matter what she did at the beginning, no matter what she got caught, all that's out the window now because she came back. And I don't know how many people mentally could recover from where she was being on top of the world, being up under the world, and then conquering the world back again. So just salute to her. I want to give her flowers. It was super dope, man. What's y'all thoughts on her real quick before we get into it?
I agree with everything that you just said. Like, I just think it's so beautiful. I think she was young. Well, she's still young. She made a dumb decision. It was a dumb decision.
Yeah.
But I feel like she bounced back. And like you said, I don't feel like people are giving her proper praise that she deserves because it's absolutely something to be proud of. And I think it kind of, for me, it goes back to our conversation that we had a couple podcasts back about like protecting Black women.
For sure.
Like she had that, okay, she messed up, but now what? You know what I mean? But I just think it's beautiful. So salute to her.
Yeah. So, fellas, y'all got anything?
I think it's a movement with the Black woman in sports in general. When you look at the WNBA, when you look at boxing, when you look at NCAA women's basketball with Angel Reese, I think there is a movement of the female Black athlete really starting to get their place, in the mainstream. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I will say though, before the marijuana incident occurred and she did make it qualify for the Olympics, she got a lot of publicity then too. Because it was a big deal. Compare her to was Jackie Joyner crazy? Is that who it was? Yeah, she was getting a lot of comparisons for the style and what I do appreciate about her though, she's just
What up, Brittany?
unapologetic. Hey, what's up, Brittany?
What's up, Brittany?
Hey, Britt.
Unapologetically herself. So respect to her. And I'm starting to see a lot of African American female athletes be that way. So I think that's dope.
Yeah. Jay, what about you, brother? Anything?
Yeah, major salute to her for overcoming adversity. And I think that downtime that she had, it helped her tap into a version of herself she didn't know she was capable of. So I personally think that the praise and everything doesn't really matter to her right now because she really knows who she is.
Big facts. Brittany, we was talking about, we were just giving Sha'Carri Richardson her flowers for what she's done here recently from where she was, what she went through to where she's at. So just before we get into the you know what I'm saying, the stuff, I got a question, man. This was a conversation I had in real life. Do y'all know how like couples get comfortable and they start specifically men start complimenting when men and his girl or his lady, his wife start complimenting other women together, start saying, oh, she got a nice such and such, or she da together.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an issue if you all are not together and he compliments a woman, but you hear him compliment? I'm gonna give you the scenario. So you're on the phone with your boyfriend, boo, whoever. He compliments somebody, not trying to be hot and not trying to be malicious, not trying to pursue. He compliments a woman while you're on the phone. Is he wrong? But y'all have the background of like doing it together, but he does it on the phone. It ain't no slick. It ain't no like nothing crazy. He just say, maybe like, oh, you smell really good. Or you said like something of that, like just something you hear that he's saying to a woman.
Why the hell are you so close to her? No.
I don't even care. Yeah, like no, you're not gonna be doing that while you're on the phone with me because compliments start conversations. Especially when you're not with me and it's just you one-on-one. You sitting there telling her that she smelled good and she respond back and say you smell good too. Then what? Because then I'm about to come through the phone. Like why would you even?
But we could talk about butts and everything else while we together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're together.
Okay. So what draws the line? Can men compliment women or vice versa? I'm not gonna just leave you. I'm gonna leave it to y'all two fellas. Can men compliment women and come home and tell you about it, but not tell you and you not be there? So let's take the phone part out of it. He says something to you, he lets you know that, but his comfortability has grown because you all do it together. He ain't on no wild stuff, he ain't cheating, you know where he at, but he come home and say, like, yeah, you know, I saw this lady with nice such and such. What's the movement on that?
What is the such and such?
Yeah, it depends on what the compliment is. Like, oh, she had on a nice necklace, or she had on a nice, I don't know, she had a nice Gucci bag. Okay, that's cute. But if you're talking about like, yo, she had on this dress that was that, nigga, what? Like, I don't. You're doing too much. So it depends on the compliment. I mean, if we're together, like you said, it's different because we're both there and we can physically see what we see. But if you walk through the door and you're just nah, like that's not okay.
Princess, what about you?
Yeah, I just feel like it's okay for you to have seen what you seen when you was away, but don't come home like we got to debrief about it if I wasn't there. Like, just I hope you enjoyed the sight when you were in the moment, but don't come back home. You ain't got to report it back to me. Like, nah, I'm good on that.
That's lust.
Fellas, how do you What?
At what point does it turn into lusting? Like, why are you still thinking about it in your coming home?
So let me
saw her when you clocked out of work.
So yeah, like unless we're like swingers or something, and it's like, oh, I seen one out there today. Like, nah, don't.
But
don't bring that back home.
Swinging, you got to see two. Pete, you got to see one for her too.
Nah, man, ain't hell nah. I'm not swinging. Yeah. I'm gonna go with I'm not swinging, bro. Fuck
that was about to go crazy. That was about to go crazy.
So let me ask this then. So what's the difference between he could follow all the booty pages last episode and be good, but now he can't come home and tell you like, hey, this is what's going on? I'm legit asking the question.
I mean, you following those pages, you're not sending them to your girl though, that you double tapping that ass. You're not doing that. Like, you're not sending those things to her. So you following those pages versus come home and discussing it with her is much different. There's no need
like somebody that
what
happened. Right. Yeah, like somebody that you legit seen in person, like them booty pages, they probably never see those women or, whatever. So if you double tapping it, whatever, even if I was like laying beside you or something and it went past your timeline and you double tapped it, okay, like it's a fat ass, but we're gonna keep it moving. But don't be out in the streets and then come back home and give me a report about all the pretty women that you seen while you was out and all of their physical features. Like that's doing too much.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Fellas, how y'all feel about that on the flip side?
About
if your lady, y'all home? Do it. Yeah.
And saying what?
Like if your girl came back from Walmart and be like, oh, I saw this man out with some gray sweatpants on, and
see, Princess always go too far. She always go too far, bro. Like, come on, man. That's
I'm
real.
I'm just saying, because a woman not gonna come back and be like, oh, I saw a man in Walmart with a fat ass. Like, that's not what a woman would come back and say.
Like that wordplay is really aggressive. Like that wordplay that you.
How's that aggressive?
We know what that implies. That you was like, come on.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm saying, how would you feel?
Because a guy's not at home behind the scenes and y'all doing so. The catch-22 was like we made comfortable looking at women saying this. I doubt a guy's at home saying these things about her, or you have to examine who you with if he's at home and y'all together looking at that, so you feel comfortable coming home telling him that. No, you would like
what they got to do with the gray sweatpants?
Because initially with the woman thing, we were looking at women together giving compliments, and now I gave a compliment without you. So what I'm saying is, in that same scenario, that means that we were at home giving compliments on that at home, so you felt comfortable coming home and saying that to me. That's a difference, no?
But with the compliments, is it only one-sided? Like, can we only compliment women together? Like, maybe, okay, if I say, like, you're not going to be like, oh, that, like, he fine. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if you're out and your woman acknowledges that a man looks good, what you going to do? Like, if both of y'all together.
Y'all know my philosophy. I'm not complimenting no woman with her, and I don't want to hear the other side. I know me. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna stay in my little lane. You know, if you want my truthful answer, I think people like. I don't mind having conversations, but I think when it crosses over into like tangible people, I just don't feel like that's smart. I think that's stupid.
You feel like it's within reach?
I mean, I just feel like I get the rules around celebrities and stuff. Me personally, and you can ask anybody that know me, I think people are dumb as hell for telling their partner everything about their past. Like it's the same thing. Like I just don't think you should be out having those conversations because yeah, it's cool right now. It ain't always gonna be cool when y'all start going through stuff and then she remember everything that you were saying and sharing. That shit gonna play against you then. Then how you looking when you like the same thing that was cool 2 months ago, we still doing it, and now all of a sudden it's an argument. I don't think setting that expectation is smart. It's cool for a little while, but it can also backfire because everybody's not the same person all the time. So I just don't play that game. I think it's dumb. And it's not even from an aspect of being jealous about it. Like I know what type of guys my wife finds attractive. I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being honest. Like, but we don't got to sit and talk about it. I think that's dumb because you come one day you having a bad day, she come home and say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, no, come on, man. Fuck no. And I think anybody that say that, they lying.
Straight up. I want to hear from Lewis and Jay.
Okay. Go ahead and repeat your question because you started off with it, but
me?
She said, "Are y'all at home complimenting men?"
No. Come on.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. So I asked. The initial question was about the gray sweatpants in Walmart. Okay. That was the initial question, and then the second question was, is this one-sided? Where if we're talking about like you and your partner being out and complimenting the opposite sex together, is it just that y'all can compliment women together, or can she compliment another man, like while y'all out together in front of you? Or not necessarily walk up to the man and compliment him, but like mention it to you.
Yeah. Yo, I feel like that's such a double standard conversation coming up, bro. Oh God. Yeah.
It's such a what?
Nah. Go ahead, Jay.
I mean, me personally, first of all, no, we're not complimenting no men together. I can guarantee you. So let's go ahead and
I mean, can she do it? I get that you wouldn't do
I think it's a way to yeah, it's cool. I think it's a way to respectfully do it, and I'm gonna tell you how. If y'all walking out together and a guy walks by, let's say you got on a good fragrance of cologne, right? She might say, damn, that smells good, right? Obviously she's referring to that guy. But she's not stopping him saying, hey, what you got on? Damn, that smells good. Kind of sparking that conversation, like you said, with the compliment. That's happened before because that's natural. I think Brittany shared it one time, like you said, don't be putting no cologne on it, then that turn around got me wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, so everybody wants to smell good. So I think that's acceptable, but anything further than that, no, I'm good on that.
But what if she says like something about like his shirt or his watch?
Yeah, that ain't. Yeah, no.
Those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun. You can't. It depends on the compliment. I feel like it's very slim when it comes to men, right? That's why Princess brought up the gray sweatpants. Because I mean, we're not walking around here talking about the wife beater he has on, or the waves in his head.
I ain't about to say he got a fat ass. Like, what in the world? No.
So would you say that you set the precedence for what can be said about a woman?
No.
Not really. No.
Okay. All right, so moving on to this week,
you never Lewis
ain't gonna say nothing, bro. I really want to know, man. No,
was his print bigger than mine?
See, and those are the questions.
Hey, if she come home talking about it,
Lewis.
It is.
If she come home talking about it, hey, just know, my guy.
Silly questions, you might get a silly answer.
I'm telling you.
I don't. This is what I was talking. Say that again.
You gotta be confident in who you are.
No, but
you come down the stairs in gray sweats. You be like, "Oh boy, go put some shorts on." She ain't even trying to see that. You just like, "Boy, go put some shorts on." You out here wasting time. You out here wasting look.
I didn't turn no heads with that.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. That nigga Jay stupid. So I think what I was saying earlier that got misconstrued. I'm not saying you can't. When you say like watches and shirts and cologne, I'm not even talking about that. so for instance, I just don't believe in saying stuff about the opposite sex that it's cool in the moment, but that shit can switch. And I'm sorry, women's memories are too good for you just because they start putting it away in their membrane of like who you said what about, what type of woman was it, who died, and then that starts formulating into something else. And when they go down to that abyss, they start thinking about all this. And don't let somebody you follow look like that person or favorite. Like, oh, I know that. No, it's just too much. Why put that in the data bank for her to have? I don't believe in playing that game. That's stupid.
But I also just feel like you can't take it too far. Like if you're gonna say
women
the compliment or whatever, no, not necessarily. I just feel like if you say it one time or something like that, and we both agree, like, oh, okay, like she's beautiful. Oh, okay, she got a fat ass. But if you keep on, like we had dinner and we looking at her, she's sitting right there. You keep on, like you add into the compliments. Oh, she's beautiful. Okay, yeah, she is. Like, okay. Oh, damn. You see her ass when she got up and went to the bathroom? Like, all right. Like, you know, like that's like you can't keep adding to the compliments because now it's like, do you want to get up and talk to her? Do you want to follow her to the bathroom?
So as a guy, why am I even going to start that? Like now you telling me I can say one, but I can't say two. Say two, but don't say. Why would I even go down that road when you just?
I mean, but would it not be the same thing? Even if I complimented a man's like cologne at first. Mm-hmm. And he walked past and I said, you know, oh, you like that cologne? Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he still staying, like we at the bar or something. He's sitting beside us or something. He's like, oh, you see his watch? And then be like, well, dang, she's staring at him mighty hard. Like, it's still the same thing. The more compliments that you add, it's gonna be like, why are you staring at them? Why are you giving them that much attention? It don't matter whether it's male or female.
Yeah, but if you don't say nothing, you can look as much as you want.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm gonna have to side with the men just for a second because I feel like if the woman
that hurt her throat to say that.
Right. Yes, it really did. It actually got stuck. I feel like if a woman starts to compliment, right? Like if I say, damn, she look good. And then he says, she does look good, but whatever the conversation is after that, that's different than if he said it first. Because not with all women, with most. Because if a man, like Jay just said, a man's not going to say, oh, his cologne smells great. Like, what does he have on? Women usually say that, but it's flipped. Like it's flipped when a man leads the conversation with you looking at a woman. The only time that my husband, let's use him as an example. We do this all the time. We people watch. The only time where he's bringing up another woman walking by is if she has a BBL and it's like off the wall. Like, yo, you just saw that? She looked crazy. Right. And we're talking about that together. I think it's more of that, less of like, damn, she really looked good in that dress. You saw her walk by? You know, he waits for me to do that. And then he'll follow up by, yeah, she does look good. And he'll leave it at, he's smart. He leaves it at that. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm still not following up. I'm like, man, where? Who?
Yeah. Like I feel like you just got to know your relationship.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about that. I think that it's that shit is all well and good when everything cool. It ain't about the relationship.
I can't agree with you on that. I think it does come down to your relationship because everybody's relationship is not conventional. Everybody's relationship is not the same. They have different parameters that they might and agreements that they have together. So that is not universal for everybody. That may be an experience that you had where when somebody got mad, they went down the abyss and everything. But you can't say that for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. That's not going to be something that I bring up in an argument, even if I'm mad, unless you doing different stuff that's like making it jog my memory. Like if you moving funny or you consistently like pointing out women or like you just taking it too far. It's only going to be certain reasons why I'm going to bring it up in an argument.
I agree. But the only point I'm making is this, Princess. Why even start that place where I got to set a boundary on what I can and cannot say instead of eliminating it? Because even you just said it doesn't bother you, but there's a limit to it. So why live in that world? So why live in that world?
Boundaries. Life is about risk, Keenan. Take them.
Okay, all right. So next, I'm good. So next, this nigga Lou looked to be like, yeah, take a hell no. All right, so So in my post this week, I posted a thing about how often should a man tap into femininity, It was every day, now and then, as need be, never. Let me ask y'all this, and we're not talking about like the. I'm just gonna ask. Let me just ask and get y'all opinion. Then I'm gonna read something somebody said to me that I wanted to share. Do y'all feel like femininity and masculinity are character traits or emotions or energy? Are they character traits, emotions, or energy? Because this was a lot. I got a lot of DMs about. Some people said never. Some people thought femininity was an emotion. Some people thought it was character traits. Some people thought it was energy. So I wanted to ask y'all, what does a man operating in femininity look like? Let me ask that question.
I can't answer that because I honestly was gonna. Well, let's let Britt respond because I was gonna ask you what you meant by that. Honestly,
for sure.
I out of those choices that you gave, I was just gonna say I think it's characteristics, like character traits of a woman, right? Like for me, let me just say that.
Okay.
So does that mean being emotional? Like, would that be one of the things? Like, or because we say women are more emotional than men, or like, I just need to know an example of a man tapping into his femininity or feminine.
For example, people might not agree, but kindness is considered a feminine character trait. I'm not saying men should. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying men shouldn't be kind. What I'm saying is character traits. It's not emotions. It's not getting upset. It's not anger. It's not this. It's kindness, nurturing, empathy, compassion.
Those are all women traits.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, things that women do, like that are characterized by women.
So how often? What does a man operate in that look like, or how often should he operate in that? Let me pull up what I got because I got my ass handed to me.
What were your answers again?
Yeah. What was the options?
Definitely
not every day.
Not every day, and I'm not gonna say never.
I got a never. So the options
you more of an everyday person, Princess?
Huh?
You more of an everyday person. You want your guy to be every day.
No.
All right. So
do I want him to be kind every day?
Girl, no.
No, you don't want.
I hope not. I ain't gonna lie. I hope not.
But I want him to be rude every day. I mean, what is kind? Like, kind is kind. Like, what in the world?
No.
Nah.
You want him to be mean, Princess, especially you.
Kind is, that's a kind.
Over there, brother.
So this is what I got off of that. Vulnerability. This is the first post, nothing at all. And I just wanted to get y'all's opinion. Vulnerability and empathy is not gender specific. And to expound, men should be vulnerable and empathetic. However, I don't feel we are using femininity as it pertains to men properly as it's defined. Saying a man should tap into their femininity suggests that being vulnerable equates to being like a female or having female traits, which further perpetrates the toxic cultural ideology that a man having emotions or being open about themselves. I think themselves means that they're acting like a woman, which in turn makes some men reluctant of sharing and expressing their feelings with fear of judgment and from their male counterparts. I do believe people that I do believe people that are adults in general should have a healthy level of emotional and mental intelligence.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think vulnerability is a big one. Nurturing is one.
Hey, Lewis, can you stay there for a second? When you say vulnerability is a big one, kind of jump into what you mean.
I think as a man, to be vulnerable, you do have to let your guard down, because as a man, we are always in kind of protect mode, and we're like that with our emotions and our feelings, because we can't, let's say we react to something and something hurts, we're not going to cry, we're not going to yell, we're not going to make a lot of noise. We're going to process that differently, so that's just instant feeling. But then, like, if you lose somebody, like, I'm not going to sit here and boohoo cry. My first reaction is not to sit here and cry. It's like, I'll be vulnerable for a moment. Like when I lost my grandfather and I got the news and I told my wife, she started crying and I wasn't even crying. You know what I mean? Because it's just, as a man, like that I just couldn't get to that emotion. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like I wasn't sad or anything, but I just couldn't get there. But as a woman, like she immediately got there. And I think, you know, if I was in that, she couldn't fully, you know, kind of maybe go through her grieving process. You know what I'm saying? So I think as a man, like we're just in protect mode a lot, and being vulnerable is challenging because I don't know, I feel like we don't get a lot of spaces to do it, and we really are cognizant of when we pick and choose to maybe show those emotions, particularly crying. That's it. I mean, shit. Everything else, saying I'm happy, all that, we can express that well, but when it comes to sadness and pain, I think that's where we struggle with it the most, and I think that's the feminine part of it.
So do you think men are more likely to be vulnerable with other men or with a woman? Doesn't matter if it's your lady or not, just a woman and your, like, so a mom, a sister, an aunt, or do you think they'll be more vulnerable?
I think mom gets it. I think mom is where men will probably be more vulnerable. I think that's the easiest path to get to a man.
Oh, so to the cry thing, I think crying, I don't equate crying to vulnerability. That shit is like an exercise, bro. Like,
you got to get to crying from somebody. It's got to be, damn, what you crying about, boy?
Why does vulnerability, like, why does it? So if I cry but not in front of anybody and share it with you, am I being vulnerable? Not being funny. I'm asking, like, seriously. I'm not being funny.
Say that one more time.
If I cry, am I private? But I'm sharing that with you. What I cried over, what happened. Am I still being just as vulnerable as I am as if I cried?
But the expression of an emotion at a time, the expression of that emotion at a time is vulnerability in itself. You know what I mean? And I didn't recognize that. You know, you hear it all the time, and man ain't supposed to cry. You know, but even like my kids, my son said to me one day, "Dad, I never seen you cry before." I'm like, dang, you know what I mean? I'm like, for real? I was like, man, yeah, I've cried before. He's like, Dad, I never seen you cry. So it let me know that
So did you start crying?
No.
No, not at the moment. I'm saying, like, have you opened up since then in front of them to, like, show that emotion?
No. And it was all right. Funny story. So when my grandfather passed, we had his funeral. He looking at me the whole time, waiting. You know what I'm saying? He was looking at me the whole time, like, is he about to? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's
like,
the block? What's the block?
Did you want to cry? Did you hold it in on purpose? Like, what was going on?
Right, man. When we pulled, we went to his house. I didn't cry at the you know service, but when we pulled into his house, you know, that was it. That was it for me.
So what's the block, do you feel, Lewis?
Man, I don't know, bro. It's why cry?
I feel like
I disagree. Okay, go ahead, Brittany. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go after you.
I just feel like society has kind of shaped and molded this a little bit, but also kind of like our upbringing and defining what men are supposed to do. Often, so even a lot of my in the line of work that I do, we often talk about how, like, vulnerability is silenced by masculinity. It's literally that, right? Like, so hush him out because you are a man and you're supposed to be masculine and whatever. It's literally less of the emotion, but more about, like, their voices, like a man's voice to be heard or a response back to the emotion that's being driven at that point in time. A lot of men don't even know when they're having vulnerable moments, or when they do, they're so used to not getting the response that's necessary for them in that moment, right? To the point where it's just kind of like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. Why? Because I'm being vulnerable. The person on the other side is not giving me the response that I need in this moment as a man, or I'm being frowned upon, looked at like, are you girly? Why are you crying, Lewis? You know, why are you doing this in this moment? It happens so frequently to the point that I feel like a man's brain is structured to, like, okay, these vulnerable moments cannot happen so frequently because of masculinity and how much it overpowers them to have those moments. At least that's what I've witnessed so often in talking to people on a daily basis.
So where I will never push back on somebody's experiences. Which, speaking on, to go back to what Lewis said, it's just like with the crying thing, right? So I struggle with the fighting the vulnerability when you like you said you couldn't get there, right? Cool. But for instance, I'm not much of a crier like that no more. Like I'm just not. I used to be one, I'm just not one. But I still feel those emotions. And I think the vulnerability or the lack thereof comes in when you feel the need to cry and you don't. So in your instance, you're saying that you just couldn't get there. Right now, you weren't moved to that point. But I don't think that may not be a bad thing if you just weren't moved in that moment, because you said when you got to their house, that was the moment for you.
Oh yeah.
So what I struggle with is like the true definition of vulnerability means like, because I've understood how to stand in my feelings or I feel what I feel, but that doesn't always equate to tears. My mother's birthday just passed. Very sad day, right? But I didn't cry. That doesn't mean I didn't operate in that vulnerability piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't fight back. If I feel tears, I cry. It's cool. Like, I feel like it makes you feel better. But I'm saying that to say, like, if we learn how to be intact with our emotions and process them, why is crying the notch for vulnerability? Like, why can't I talk to you about what I'm feeling and not cry and it be just as good as crying? Why is crying the thing that makes it where, oh shit, he was as vulnerable as he could be? You understand what I'm saying? Makes sense?
I know what you're saying. People do equate crying to me. That's the most vulnerable thing you can do in my action. That to me is because you talk about the ugly face. I mean, physically you are. You know what I mean? Like
you're vulnerable.
Vulnerable, you're vulnerable at that moment.
Yeah. Because I have people that I'll talk to about stuff, but like if I actually cry in front of you, like I don't want to say I'm down bad, but like I really, really trust you to actually cry in front of you. Like I'll have a whole conversation with you and then wait till we hang up the phone to burst into tears. Because I don't want to be that vulnerable, especially coming from someone where it's hard to like break that shell and share certain things with people. So it's like, all right, like you got me to a certain level, but you ain't about to get that level plus the tears. Like that's just taking it too far. So, you know, like the crying part is like the ultimate level of vulnerability.
Where does that barrier come from? You just said to me, I heard you say, Lewis, do you still cry when you commute? Hold on, man. Johnny, here come Johnny. No, hold on, Johnny. I got you, Johnny. I got you, bro. So Princess, I heard you say, like, even when you feeling it, certain people are not going to get that level. What's the barrier that you've experienced, or what causes you to have a cutoff to who gets what? Is it being vulnerable and it being used against you? Is it just something where you just never felt that comfortable? What created that barrier?
Well, for me
everybody
personally,
checking in.
For me personally, I feel like I'm always labeled as like the strong friend or the strong, you know, whatever. And so a lot of times I try to save face, or, you know, like I have a lot of people in my life where I'm vulnerable in telling certain things to, but like to see me break all the way down, like you're not going to get that from me too often.
Because you feel like you have to be strong because that's what you've been called?
It's maybe not even so much that I have to be, it's just what I have been and that's what I am for a lot of people.
Gotcha.
So it's just like the grandma or, you know, whoever the matriarch is of the family, you know, that kind of holds stuff together. Like most times you don't really see that person break. And if you see that person break, then everybody's in a frantic. Like, like, oh my God, like what do we do now? Grandma don't got it together. So it's kind of like the same feeling. Like I can't break all the way down because then it's like, well, I might not be able to come to her no more and, you know, with all my problems. So it's kind of that feeling.
But so let me, do you have, sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. That's what we're here for.
Do you have moments where you take the time for yourself to feel that vulnerability, or do you bottle that in? Because where are you expressing it if you're not sharing that with other people?
To Princess?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to me. Yes, I do. But it's alone.
Okay.
Like I'm going to talk to people about it, but like if I want to cry about the situation, I'm not going to call people to cry. And if I'm calling you to cry, like I'm really, really down bad.
So I'll jump out there and say this. I think I asked Lewis a question, and it's relating to what Princess what Princess said right now. I feel that way in my friend group. You know what I'm saying? Like the strong person, woo woo da da da. Been through a lot. But I'll tell you this: if you were with me or know me when I was going through it, I don't have no hold bar.
Nah.
I'll cry and keep like, hey, bro, you caught a player slipping. Let's move on. I think my thing is I don't try to express. It's certain stuff in life, especially with grief, maybe with marriage, kids. It's certain stuff like if the people weren't there to experience with you, they're not going to understand the emotion anyway. Like, and that's just my personal philosophy. Like most of my close friends, and I don't want to keep being sad referring to my dudes, but like most of them when they comment, be like, "Bro, I remember that time when that like they knew her, so I can be that way with them." A lot of people show love, and I appreciate it, but it's only that's the limit for me. So like for me, if we experience stuff together, if we experience stuff together, I'm not afraid to say that. And I tell you the back end of that I learned about myself. I learned this last week. I don't share a lot, and it's not intentional. I talk a lot, but I don't share a lot, and I didn't even know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I have people very close to me. I'm like, damn, Sneak, I ain't never know that. And it's not because I'm like, not like, oh no, I'm not gonna say nothing. It's more like, damn, I just didn't think to say that. Like, damn, it was what it was. And I even say to my peoples, I wish when I was going through stuff, I was more expressive because it wasn't like I didn't want to be. I didn't understand that I was going through it, so my mindset was about fixing it. So I never thought to share it during the time, except for some of it. So I'm saying that to say, like, even in that regard, it's hard for those people to be there for me or me to relate to them because I never gave them the opportunity to experience it when it was happening. So when I go back and say, like, oh, look, bro, you remember when it ain't the same. They like, why didn't you say nothing? They can't feel that. They can't feel that. So to the people that said never, I had some. This is the next one.
Wait, you not gonna tell us what Johnny said, or did you tell us?
Oh no, he just. Oh, I'm sorry. He getting at Lewis. My fault. He said, Lewis, do you still cry when you communicate? I don't.
Tell Johnny I just took my son school shopping, and he can come pick up some of these old clothes he wears.
Hey, go ahead. Hey.
Yo, that's what we're doing tonight.
Hey, listen. Hey, you know Johnny about to come back, boy. You know
he about to fire you up.
What Johnny? A 3 or 14?
Hey, Johnny, I send the link. Pop in, bro. I send the link. Pop in. I'm gonna send the link.
Hey,
so I had a couple women say they would never want their man to operate in no type of femininity ever. Like, not at all.
Is getting your nails done feminine?
They should have wasted some money for a guy though.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
It ain't feminine. It's just I can't. My wife would be like, oh, I'm like, it ain't that I won't go and do it, which I just don't like. If you say, oh, it's $80, like I'm gonna find something I can spend $80 on. That's my problem. It ain't that shit. Just
so Brittany said no. What about you, Princess?
Wait, what you say?
A man getting their nails done, is that feminine?
It depends on what he's getting done to his nails. Are you getting polish on your nails, like as in a colored polish? Yeah, it to me it definitely depends. But I like for a man to do that. I mean, that's a form of self-care.
So
if your like feet are scratching me in the bed, then I would prefer it. Or either you take care of it on your own. So no, that's just self-care. Like, no, we need to fix this. Ain't that much masculinity in the world for you to be scratching me up.
I know. So what about gestures? What about gestures, right? Because I know somebody like got married, right? So the woman, the women, they show their ring off. So the man, they was like, "Hey, let me see your wedding band," and he did like this.
Nah,
like, oh no, you gotta do like this, bro. You gotta,
hey, come on, man.
You can't do that, bro.
But it was out of habit. It was out of habit. He was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry." Like,
yeah, nah.
But it was. But that's bad though, right? Like because it was innocent because he wasn't trying to. He didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? But even gestures, right? Like we have to be cognizant of how we do almost everything. Eat all that.
Yeah.
So
he was just tapping into his femininity, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. Because he was showing his ring, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, one woman, like maybe the women who said never, if they saw that happen, they would write him off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like he might be a completely straight man, but they see that and like, oh, red flag. Done.
Yep.
Yeah. He can't. Never mind. All right. So the next DM I got. The next thing I got. So I asked, like, fellas, do you feel like women should be consistent? Like, you know how we talk about consistent. I just, posed a question. What responses I got were, who's to say? This is the sentence. I said, I'm definitely saying this. Who's to say women shouldn't be pursuing?
What?
Pursuing what?
I'm just saying. So I probed the conversation. Said, what do you mean? He said, men have always been required to be something to reach an expectation. He went into, we live in times where, expectations for men has risen, expectations for women have gotten lower as far as what they're supposed to do and how they move, what comes to the table. He said, like, I don't get why now, if we're doing the even playing field. Now, this is a single guy, so I can't speak on the single world, but he's saying if we're operating in similar spaces, who's to say that she shouldn't only be consistent? She should be the hunter.
No.
Have expectations for women gotten lower? Seriously? Because we still giving you children. We actually providing more income than what we would have back in the day. Maybe
not personally. I don't think he was referring to personally though. I think he was referring to what is required for you all to give to a guy. Not
men. I mean, men consistently singing about women staying feminine, like staying in their lane. So are men really open to the idea of the woman being the hunter at this point? Because we're we're switching roles. If that's the case, and then if you walking up to a man, you tell him everything, you kind of being the pursuing. Like, would y'all take a step back and look at us like, yo, hold on, you're doing too much?
Yeah, I personally don't think in the society that we live in that men are ready for women to be the hunters, because I feel like your egos are gonna be.
Yeah, like
because when women start doing men like how men do women, that it's gonna be an issue because y'all not used to that. I don't think this society can. I don't think you can handle it.
So I'll go out on a limb and say this. Y'all not gonna like
it. What's new?
Right. Yeah, I know, right? Princess, honestly, what a guy has to bring has risen way more than what a woman has to bring now. I think most relationships now get harder when a guy is not only requiring the sex, when he's not only satisfied with some ass. Like, that's when real true things, like, for a long time, it was like, yo, let's take it back before y'all started making bread, right? That's like how y'all make money now, and people say, like, oh, a woman can say, I make money, you make money. Okay, that ain't nothing now. Let's put that to the side. Like, now a lot of guys are tapping into who they are, self-awareness, their emotional awareness, et cetera. And now they require more than just the physical piece. Can we at least agree for a long time? It was like, if we get physical, I'm straight. The rest I deal with. Can we agree on that? No.
Not like.
I'm not gonna say that because that makes it sound like that's all that the woman was bringing to the table.
No. I said all a guy wanted. I didn't say that's what she was bringing to the table. I didn't say that.
Oh.
So you can bring whatever to the table, but if I only want this thing, the other stuff is not. It's like muscle memory. If I don't ask for it and I don't ask you to do it, or you're not doing it, naturally you're going to stop doing those things. I'm not saying you don't bring it to the table. I'm saying this is what I was focused on. Okay, I get this. I'm cool. We can't agree on that.
Yeah, but I feel like that was the only reason was to bear, like, for the bearing of the kids. I don't think it was just simply the sex part.
I'm not getting into the Stone Age. I'm saying even us millennials. There was a point in time.
Stone Age.
Yeah, there was a point in time.
That won't that Stone Age.
There was a point in time where we rap, we cool, we get physical. I ain't gonna really trip or ask for too much more outside of that. I'm not. That's just not where it was. That's not who we were. We didn't even know that. We didn't.
Right.
We can't say that as dudes. We're not open. We weren't. We're trying to learn how to be vulnerable. We're learning how to express ourselves. We're doing all those things. So with those same expressions, right? I'm not saying women don't have them, but now it requires them to bring that. It didn't always require that. No. I'm confused. I'm confused. I'm asking a question.
I don't.
Go ahead, Brett.
No,
I want to hear it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Can you tell me how the expectations for men now are higher?
So the thing is, right? So we talk about how more emotionally advanced women are, how they've always had these things, self-awareness, all these things, right? And we talk about how men are catching up in all those aspects besides financially.
Mm-hmm.
So now a woman pertaining to the standard that we've set, meaning like mostly like even with the little clip that got sent, like the woman came whole, right? The woman's already intact, right? She has those things. So when we learn and grow and learn ourselves, and we learn like, oh no, I want this instead of this. I need that. I need this. I need that. Y'all sat up here and said you don't want him to be too needy. Y'all said that. So I'm saying like that what we have to now do, or what we learned about ourselves and what we ask and what we require, has now caused more ripples in dating and in relationships than it was when it was like, oh, I bring home money, we have sex. Oh, I'm straight. I ain't tripping. I'm not going to stress myself. I'm going to sit there. Now it's not that. Guys are saying what they want. Guys are saying, oh, I need this, the same way a woman may need it. So now dudes are requiring more, which they won't always doing. Therefore, it makes the woman uncomfortable. Like even in the conversation we having now, in order to create those spaces that we were talking about earlier to navigate, how are we going to navigate those spaces unless he's opening up and requiring more from his lady? Let's use the vulnerability piece, right? Let's go in his bag. So if we go in this bag of he's not that vulnerable, he don't say his feelings that often. He don't talk about that, right? And he's working at it, but this nigga gets emotional. This nigga might get to crying every other conversation. What is your response gonna be when he done cried 10 days in a row trying to get it together?
Nah.
Okay.
I'm crying
a little more now, right?
No.
A little more now, right? I ain't just sitting there being quiet, driving home, being angry, being passive aggressive. I'm requiring you to create a space for me to be okay to cry. And I got to put a limit on how long
and
that
that's
takes.
fine. And that's fine, but you can't do that every day.
Why?
Don't come home
if I haven't done it for 30 years.
So.
Exactly. Thank you. My point in my case. Thank you. Thank you.
I said don't cry. Like what?
No, it's not about him not crying, but you can't come home crying every day. I'm not even about to be crying every day.
I'm trying to figure it out though.
Crying every day, then no.
So you need to figure that out on your own. Like people need to start doing the self-work for themselves before they bring that baggage over into a relationship. We're not about to sit up here crying every day. At that point as a man, like you have to have some sort of backbone. Like how do I feel safe and protected and you over here crying every day? What you crying about?
I'm gonna use small talk season 6 episode 1.
Okay.
You all said that no, you can be working on yourself in a relationship as long as you come in and you're self-aware about who you are.
Right.
So if I'm self-aware that I get emotional about X, Y, and Z, and we're together, I'm aware of that. I'm working on that. Y'all said that's okay. So why
you're
is
not
there
working on that if you're crying every day?
Getting emotional does not
equate there.
Right. That does not equate to crying every day. If you're crying every day, sweetheart, we need to get you some help because there's a reason why tears don't just naturally come. You're depressed. That's something way bigger going on that we need to either work through together or you need to go figure that out and then come back when you're ready.
Okay. So now I appreciate you all's answer. I really do. So now I'm going to pull it back to what I was just saying. You see how when a guy is doing that and it requires more, you're like, yeah, no, I'm up out of there. Because
it's not just a black and white thing, though.
No, but Princess, if y'all go in an abyss, I gotta be cool with it. I gotta be stable enough to get you through it. If I leave while you down, it's like, look at him.
That's true.
I mean, I feel like it's true, but I
That's
kind of
true.
feel like
So what are we talking about?
because like we always have conversations about being emotional and being logical. Like that's just the nature of what it is. So I mean, as an expectation of a woman, you can't tell me that you don't have an expectation of a woman to be more emotional than she is logical. And we can't say that women don't expect men to be more logical than they are emotional. So we expect you
That's
to
true.
ride the wave when we're emotional creatures. Just as much as if you're too emotional for me as a man, that's what we were just talking about. It taps into those feminine roles. It's honest. I mean, it doesn't make it right, but I'm saying it's what has already been defined for us. So we have an expectation in our minds. So yeah, I'm gonna look at you sideways if you're crying every day. Yes, I expect you to ride the wave with me because naturally I'm a woman and I'm emotional.
If
So
she's
And
so
then
not
you
also, like, if I
logical
feel
in
so
her
you're riding the,
response,
hold on one second, Lewis. Hold on one second, brother. I'm sorry. So you're riding the wave when I stay in my logic and I show zero emotion ever? You gonna ride that wave, or you gonna tell me to go get help? You don't never express yourself.
No, I'm not. I mean, that's something we figure out together. I'm not saying you can't have a little bit of both. What I'm saying is if one
yeah,
is too much of this is what I'm getting from what you're telling me. If one
Uh-huh.
is too up here, right, then that's something that we need to evaluate. Too much logic, too much emotion. Okay, we need to evaluate. But it's okay to tap into to being emotional and tap into being logical from time to time. We just got to find a healthy balance.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
relationships.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree. And the woman will be more emotional than the man. But if I was crying every day, that's an issue. I don't, even from the man's side, he should have an issue with that. I don't care if I am a woman. Like if I'm crying about something every single day, then that's something that we need to talk about.
Hey, Lewis, what was you about to say? I got you, princess. What was you
some
about to say?
ignorant. I was about to say something ignorant, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
saw it all over his
Hey,
face.
what? Hey, go ahead. Enlighten us, bro.
And he was ready to do it. He cut you off too.
No,
Say what
just
you about to
have
say, Lewis.
it's hard to cry when you're having sex.
Hey, man. Hey,
Hey,
what you want today, bro? Like, hey, bro, everybody check on Louis B.
Lewis, you
Bro.
better not be in there. You better not be in that crowd.
You better
Hey,
not be
but
there
fellas,
crying.
am I tripping on what I'm saying though? I need y'all to really tell me if I am.
No, bro. I think you spot it, but the thing is, like, I hate to say this to hope the women don't kill me, but like they're showing you the illogical mindset all by what they're saying.
Oh, all right. I'll just
Because what you're saying makes sense. Brittany just admitted to saying they just admitted that that is not okay. They could do it even though they shouldn't, and because they expect you to be logical, and they are expected to be illogical, which is logical and illogical in thinking in a sense. But yeah, that just proves your point, bro.
I just think it just needs to be balanced. You can't be in a corner crying every
Princess,
day
I'm
over
not
here.
saying it doesn't need to be
So if he
balanced.
cried 3 days instead of 4, that's balanced.
All right,
Jay,
nigga, you on
hey,
day
can
4,
you disconnect Jay from the call?
Hey, hold on. Let me cry before I get off.
Yeah, you
No, you
stupid.
gotta cry when you get off. You gotta cry when you get off, like Princess said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad. I can't show y'all that part.
You gotta hang up.
To my original point. So can I ask a couple of questions? Can I ask a couple of questions to this original point? I know we went off on a tangent, but I really want to know this from you two specifically because all that shit y'all be talking in the chat. I want to know this. So I do agree on balance. Do you believe that balance looks different as life happens for a relationship?
Yep.
Do y'all believe that experiences change us?
Yes.
So in those experiences, what I'm saying is if a male requires much of his woman through those changes, there is a cutoff point. Like, all right, now there's not going. So when they start requiring a lot to get through said change to bring balance back to the force, there's going to be a hold on. There's not going to be a no hose bar. Show your emotions, bro. Get through it. It may take 10 days, 15 days. Do what you got to do, but get through it. It's gonna be like day 7. Oh, all right, now, like, yeah, come on out. Like, but if a woman goes through something, I'm not even gonna get on the big kicker. If a woman goes through something, you got to deal with it, and there's no time frame that can put on it. I got to deal with it if I love you.
I don't, and so I don't. That's the part that I don't agree with. I don't feel like anybody has to deal with anything. I just said, right, like that is an expectation of certain people, but I just don't feel like, at what point are you all setting boundaries in your relationship? At what point are you defining what like healthy balance actually looks like? Like how much are both of you putting out there, or how much are both of you like putting up with different things? That's a conversation that needs to be had on both parts. Who told you that you had to ride? Who told you that you had to sit in this and you're not allowed to challenge somebody in their levels of growth, because that comes with it? Like, okay, I might have grown right here and you're still down here. I need you to come up with me because we're in this relationship together. So what can I do to get you to be up here? Right? Like, why are you still crying down here? This is what riding the wave looks like when it's uneven. So how do we get that healthy balance?
So I'm gonna say this. I feel you, Brittany. I
That
feel
was
you.
well said. I've said
Brittany.
that before too, Brittany. That was well said. I've said that.
Yeah, that was good.
But it was. But my only thing to it is like, I don't disagree. But there's certain things women can go through, and let's use a societal standpoint. There's certain things y'all go through. If we left during that time, we're the worst person in the world.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, Keena. Mm-hmm.
Like if
Were they pregnant?
I'm not even. No, it ain't even just that. But because women are allowed to operate in their emotions. Hey, Louis, this is what I'm saying, and people really are not going to probably agree or like this, because women get to operate in their emotions a lot more than men. If they go through something that's related to mental health, it's a lot more accepted because they're able to operate in that space longer. So when she's down or when she's going through something, anxiety, depression, I don't really like using postpartum because that's not really something that a man can relate to. But I'm just saying, like, whatever it may be, they're allowed to operate in that space for however long they need. And if we make a move that's best for us during that time, there's no way you're going to recover. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I know y'all gonna hate me for this. I would encourage people to go listen to that Derek Jackson interview, both parts.
No,
I'm not saying you don't have to. And Brittany, you're proving the point. You're proving the point.
I'm gonna check it out
You're
later.
proving the point. I'm not saying he's right for cheating. I'm not saying that. But if you go and listen to somebody, now we got to give him the same benefit of the doubt that we gave her about telling the truth. What up, Amanda? What's happening? So if you give everybody the same point, that you got to give everybody that about saying the truth. So all I'm saying is this: when you listen to it, you like, what? Hold on. And he never ever downplays what she said, downplays what he did. He never steps away from what he did. He acknowledges everything. He doesn't belittle her. None of that. The point I'm making, go ahead.
I got a question, because you said that when women are allowed to operate in a mental health space.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay,
I said women are able to operate in their emotions longer than men. They get the grace to operate emotionally. Therefore, when mental health things come up, it's okay because they get to operate in that space.
Okay. So my question to you is, how often do men even acknowledge that they're going through an emotional phase in their life? How often do they literally acknowledge, like, this is what's happening to me? Or do men tend to bottle it up or suppress it or hold on to it or whatever? Because again, we're referring back to masculinity.
So I would say this, and I'm going to be super G. I don't think a lot of women create that space as good as they think they do. They say that shit when it's good, but they don't really create that space. Because if you ask a guy's friends, so when you say, do they bottle it up? No, we don't bottle it up. It's just that there's a lot of things that we have to think about how we say it.
You didn't answer my question though, because I asked you, how often do you think men acknowledge it? Not
all the
how
time.
You acknowledge it.
Daily, weekly.
But acknowledge it as in like bringing it to
your
whoever,
person?
so that your partner is aware. Is that what you're asking, Britt?
Yeah, like making it clear. I get what she's saying.
Daily.
I don't think we do, bro.
In a realistic world, I would say at least weekly.
Nah.
I don't think we do, bro.
I don't think so.
I think maybe you do. I don't see it that.
So let me ask y'all, fellas. So y'all telling me if your day was rough or your week was rough and your lady asked Friday over drinks after the kids laid down, you don't express your week?
She too busy talking about hers.
I ain't gonna lie, I used to.
So hold on, Lewis. And you know I love I love sis. Hold on, but what did he just prove to me? The space.
Yeah.
Where was the space? Where's the space?
No, it's not. It's not. It's
No,
not.
I'm
Is
Just,
that
I'm
it's
not
not
blaming him.
space, or that he just feels like she done poured all her heart out, so he just like, I don't even feel like adding to the conversation.
Correct.
Nah,
And
if
I
you want
would
me
say
to
that she would not.
No, I can answer. I can answer the question for myself. If you want me to be completely honest, for me, it's just that I realize that everything doesn't need to be talked about or expressed. I don't need to give not even being funny. When I got on the pod just now, right? What's the first thing y'all asked? Yeah, today must kick your ass. Yo, it was rough. It's no
You
need to
acknowledge
go
it,
into
though.
all those details because
But
a
Jay,
lot
you
of that
acknowledged
stuff.
it.
Yeah, but acknowledging it and then going on a rant about it over a period of time will take a toll on anybody.
So
I don't have to acknowledge it every time. I mean, I don't acknowledge it every time. I just be like, oh yeah, it was straight.
Jay, but
It was
Brittany's
cool.
question is, how often do men acknowledge when you got on the pod? You acknowledge that your day was rough. It's for the woman to go and grab and say, "Hey, why was it? Like, damn, what happened?" And you may not go that far.
But I'm saying, then y'all try to get me to elaborate. What happened? Oh no, it was just rough.
Nobody trying to get you to elaborate, literally.
Okay.
So we didn't. We said Jay said his day was rough.
He said something he didn't, Jay. Don't you do it.
Yeah. Princess, you was up here. Did we go further? Hey, Princess, did we go further?
Hey, be careful, Princess. Be careful how you answer.
Did we go further? Nah, I'm being dead ass. Did we go further?
I do
We
not
didn't
recall.
press him for the information. No, we didn't press him, but we definitely asked. And we asked twice. I think you asked, and then he really didn't respond, and then I asked again.
All right, I regress. I'm sorry, Jay. You was right. I apologize.
So, I mean, is that our fault that dudes don't naturally come out with it? Like, if you didn't ask, if Jay simply said, yes, I had a rough day or whatever, that's all he wanted to share in that moment. So then is it our fault if women they take it for what it is? I'm taking it for, like, he doesn't want to talk about it, whatever, I'll revisit it later. But if I sat here and I pressed him about it, like, what happened? What you mean it was rough? What was going on? Yeah. Like, is that what you all are looking for to
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree. Britt, you got a comment? Somebody said you on fire. Let me show love to Britt. Shout out to Britt. Shout out to Britt. Shout out to Britt. Shout out to Britt. For sure. So no, that's not what I'm saying. So your original statement was how often does a man acknowledge it, right? I wholeheartedly agree with Jay. It's just like sometimes like it was rough. Everything is not an express point all the time. 110% agree with him. But the question was, does he acknowledge it? He acknowledges day was rough. Now, if you go back to Lewis's situation, I said, Lewis, at the end of the week, at the end of the week, you asked how rough your week was. He said she was too busy explaining it, saying hers. Did you say that, Lewis?
Yeah, don't tell me why I said that.
I'm not. It's on me online. But but the point I'm making
show him some love. Show him some love. She just put up middle fingers. Show him some love, Nick.
But the point I'm making is like that. I wanted to use Lewis, but I'm just using that situation that he put out there.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So I feel like for me, with the point that Britt made like a little while back, like you used the example about like the talking at dinner, but I'm thinking more of like major things. Like you brought up like depression, and you said you didn't really want to say postpartum, but that is something major that happens with women. I'm thinking more so like if a man is going through something serious, like what is the threshold on that? How long is a man able to operate in whatever that space? Let's take, for example, someone loses a parent or, like whatever, like that's a major thing that may happen in a man's life. Like how long is like everybody's grieving process looks different. So how long is he able to operate in that space, whether he's crying in a corner every day or, whatever, before it's like, all right, that's enough.
So that number is going to be significantly lower because of how she asked how often does a man say that, and you're saying in real situations. So I would ask them in life-changing events or traumatic events, are you all sharing that? If so, how long do you give yourself to operate in that space? I'm gonna ask Lewis and Jay.
What, losing a parent?
Just any traumatic.
How long are you operating in the space though?
I mean, I don't know, man.
What? Before you say something, or before you what?
Yeah, like before we what?
I guess to me, for one, are you going to say something? Like if you're having, like if you just lost a parent or whatever traumatic happens in your life, are you just going to be feeling the emotions, or are you going to actually bring it to your person? And then if you bring it to your person, like how long are you going to allow yourself to operate in that space before you feel like it's too much? Like as a man, I'm doing too much. Like I'm tapping it in too much of my feminine energy. And also for the woman, like how long do we allow him to stay in that space before we feel like he's staying in that feminine energy like too long?
I think when you go ahead, Jay.
No, you go. You've been cut off all night.
I think when someone obviously,
I hate Jay, bro.
Look, my bad, bro. It was simultaneous, man. My bad.
No, I said you've been getting cut off all night, so I'm giving you the floor.
Oh, thank you, man. Keenan's been he's in a talking mood, but so I'm just kidding. That's my dog. But I feel like you gotta. I feel like it's unfair to put all that on your partner. Like, you know, I lost someone that my grandfather was like my father to me. Really, I'm gonna be honest with you. And going through that grieving, I never wanted my wife to feel like she had to do anything to help me with that grieving process. And I actually went back to therapy because of that loss. I lost actually 2 people in a month span, but this past year. And I went back to therapy. So I don't want to put too much on my wife, but I didn't want to put that on her. Right. And plus, like when you're together for a certain amount of time, they're grieving with you, you know, because they know these people too. But I think where there may need to be an intervention is when you start to see that person go down a path that's not helping. Yeah. Right. Because grief has a lot of different stages, a lot of different phases. But I think the way that you get through it is you have to show progression, and you have to continue with your life. And I feel like when you see that person's not, you know, continuing in life and not trying to improve or you know, and they're straying away from a path that you know that things that they care about, they're no longer pursuing. I think those are the red flags that would, you know, that should be alarming to where someone should say, hey, look, we may need to intervene. Let's look at other options, a way for you to get through this. I would say those are the keys.
But do you feel like you don't want to put that on her because you are the man? So you feel like you can't do too much? Like, do you feel that?
You know, and this may be ignorant. I don't think that's a good question. When it comes to how my relationships with other people outside of my wife, it's hard for you. I don't think you could understand how that affects me. So I wouldn't put that on you. So if she lost someone, I couldn't tell her how that should affect or how that impacts her. So it's less of that, but more so just understanding. Because I don't, if you don't know the dynamics and how these relationships impacted me and shaped who I am, it's hard for you to even try to help, in my opinion. So you maybe aren't able to give me what I need in those moments. Maybe I'm projecting, but I'll also try to give people that same respect as well whenever they're going through something. But that's why it's not that I don't want to do that because of who she is and who I am. It's because of the dynamics of what it is that I'm dealing with and what I lost.
And may I say this, Brittany and Princess? I get you all. I know you all. But I would have to say, in a very lopsided way, I've witnessed way more men try to, not you two, I've seen way more men try to express themselves, and a woman was not emotionally available to take on what he was expressing. I'm not talking about one time and it was a blow up. I'm not talking about he didn't articulate well. I've seen well articulated expression and it not have the space to be received. And then in turn, when it's not, every guy's a problem solver. So I'm not going to take that there. Once I realize this is not it, I'm going to go find a way, i.e. guys talk to their friends more. And I'm saying I've seen this happen over and over and over again, where this is not to y'all. No disrespect to anybody that is operating in a very healthy way. But I've seen over and over and over again that because society says women are more emotionally intelligent, have more emotional capacity, that they're able to receive and process better. I've seen it multiple times. Guys articulate, and even if the expression isn't a long, drawn-out expression, it's articulated very simple and plain, and he lets you know where he's at. But where she may be is not a space where he could do that, and it wasn't received. And then in turn, it's like, damn, what you got going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it calls for him to go inwardly. And then when the space gets healthy for her, it's like, damn, you don't say nothing no more. But all the times I tried to when you weren't ready, I'm not going to get credit for those. I'm now got to be harder than I don't express. And then I think we got to think about, we can't just think about our healthy selves now. We got to look at relationships at 18, 19, 20 when we didn't know, but we were still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because those matter now. So those things, whether we want to believe it or not, control how we handle environments now. But not even with my close friends and my family, outside of my family. I've seen multiple examples where now I've seen, let me say this, I've seen the other side where Joe can just go to the bottle and he ain't right. And you know what I'm saying? And he be passed out every night. I've seen that too. But all I'm saying, simple and plain, is that men not expressing themselves, we got to find where it's a guy not being able to, and where's that space within that relationship. We got to find which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, were you gonna say something, bro?
Yeah, I was gonna answer Princess and Brittany's question. The same one you answered. So for me, I do express it. I let you know how I feel, what's going on, what I'm going through, and then after that, I do dig into and it may be a defense mechanism, basically what you were saying, Princess. It's like, okay, I'm the man of the situation. I need to handle this a certain type of way. So I start doing the work myself, and I no longer depend on, you know, necessarily her trying to figure it out for me because I feel like it's my job. So I express it up front, but after that, then it turns into, because I am the man of the situation, it is my job. Because it also goes back to what you said earlier. When somebody looks at you as being the rock, the strong person for the family, when they see you break like that, I think it takes something out of them. And it's like, damn, like I never thought you would crack. So now that I see you would crack, like, woo, I thought we were untouchable together. Now I really got to evaluate it, even though that's not right. That's just what reality is. So I just try to keep that same frame and just say, hey, I can figure this out, and kind of, I just do it myself, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's right, but that's just what I do.
And I feel like, does that come into play as well with the man being like I guess if we want to use the term like head of household and the provider, like you feel like you don't have that much time to operate in that space, like you said, because you gotta be the problem solver and figure out everything. So if you're the one that's leading the house or whatever, like you don't really have that much opportunity to operate in that space for too long.
I mean, I don't think me personally, I don't think you should, as a man, operate in that space that long. Keenan does a great job of processing things very fast, acknowledging, moving forward. I think, and Lewis does too. A lot of people, I've grown to do that. I was not always like that. But you have to realize as a man, though, if you take all of that time to do that, what's happening on the back end? Imagine you going through that stuff and you haven't been to work in 3 months. Imagine what happens to your empire. Imagine what happens to your household. Not saying that your wife can't pick that responsibility up, but in actuality, that's not technically her responsibility. So you have to figure out a way, like, you got to fight through that. I don't care what, you just got to fight through it. I mean, it is what it is. You got to figure out a way to get up every day and work through that to keep it going, because that's what a man is supposed to be. That's just what a man is to me. I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
So do y'all feel like, I'm sorry, Brittany, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I just think it's important to highlight that it is a process, though, because although you can pick up and move on from certain things, for instance, when my husband's grandmother died, it was a shock to everybody. I had never seen him in that space before, ever in my entire life. He was legit washing the dishes, and I'm like, hello? Like, you are right over there? It was dead silent in here for about 10 minutes, and I was like, okay. He's not talking, something's off. But then it hit me, he was having one of those moments where he legit looked and was like, Rich, just give me a minute. All right, cool. I just feel like and I had to remind him, if those moments come up, and this is answering your question, Princess, I think there isn't really a time frame. It's just when guy processes things and he's moving on, because to Jay's point, like you have to kind of pick back up because you're this person and you got to make moves for your family. And okay, I dusted up, whatever moving on looks like. It's important to highlight that it is a process, and you will go back to those moments where you can be vulnerable in those spaces and either cry, pray, sing, whatever it is that you do to get through that grieving process moment for you in that point in time, and then pick yourself back up again. And then the woman should not then look at you like, all right, but you was crying last week. Okay, but we're 3 months from now, and a song came on the radio and it reminded him of that person. Acknowledge that, right? Acknowledge him and his feelings, and then y'all move on together. It's a process. It can take years to come out of that space, or not.
Yeah. I got something else unpopular to say. And I feel this way. For real. Along with the conversation we having, and this is gonna sound a little toxic, but I don't believe it to be. I think we got to get back to and that's what my thought was. I'm really passionate about this part of things. I gotta say us men because I'm a male. Okay, so I don't want anybody to take offense to that. It could apply to men and women. We got to get back to who's going to anchor the ship, though. Like somebody got to drive it, and somebody got to be willing to anchor it. Everything can't be. Everything balances is not a real thing. It looks different as, it looks like balance is not 3 things on this side, 3 things on that side, because balance is based off emotional. Oh, let me not say emotional. Balance is based off capacity in every sense. Like somebody can work 3 jobs and have the same amount of energy as somebody that only works 1. Somebody can have the type of emotions where a lot of things can happen to them and they can process, move on, and be okay and don't need that much downtime. Somebody and the other person is not like that. So when we talk about balance, we neglect like people's individual capacity. So as dudes, to Jay's point, I don't think it's about not sharing, but I think it's about like, okay, we have to right this ship. Somebody got to be willing to take the hit. It's not going to be smiles and giggles all the fucking time. It's just not. And somebody got to be willing to create a space where the other person or you, when it's time, like, okay, so if I'm having my moment, damn, the ship been right for 4 or 5 months. I've been good, but now I ain't good. I'm gonna cry right now. But don't nobody want to jump out there to say like, nah, that like Jay said, like, and I agree 110%. I'm not gonna come home and say everything. It's a lot of dumb shit out here. It just is. Like I'm just not going to say it all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't want to express. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of times, as guys, we are in our mind like this, chilling. It may seem okay. You're like, fuck that. I'm about to say something, man. I got to say something about this. And you say, it's like, whoa, what? And it's not something that I said crazy. It's just that you weren't expecting me to say it then. And then when that moment gets judged, it's like, nah, I just had to get that. I had to get that off my chest. You know what I'm saying? And somewhere down the line, and this isn't about men, women, femininity, masculinity. Somebody got to be willing to take the hit. Somebody got to be willing to say when the windows get broken out, who's going to still be like, okay, you know what? We got to fix this. You cry on my shoulder, but we got to go. That's the reality of it. It's not always time to sit and chill and kumbaya and figure it out. I'm not saying you don't have those moments, but I just feel like personally, somebody has to be willing to show the other person the way and not be mad when they don't understand. And it could be a man or a woman. Show them the way. If you're not willing to teach them, leave them. And don't get mad at them because they don't know. I just don't think that's cool. I think somebody got to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna rate this process out because I believe on what's on the other side. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure this works. And if 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of productive struggle happens and you're not okay with it no more, then leave. But somebody got to be willing, like, no, I got to teach you. Because the reality is this, niggas is 30 but operating as 19-year-olds. Niggas got grown last year. You know what I'm saying? I tell Lewis and Jay, all my homies all the time, nigga, we call each other for advice. That shit's stupid.
That's bad.
It is. Yeah. But in the very same note, we use our age as a reference point. But in reality, niggas really learn who they were last 3 years. So it's like, no, somebody got to be willing to say, like, no, I'm going to take the hit. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to stay patient, but don't nobody want to stay patient for real. Because Let me be quiet. I'm telling you, man. They don't, because that's uncomfortable. When somebody not getting what they want out of it at the moment, people be ready to quit. But people can't look down the line far enough to be like, okay, you know what? He or she is going through something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could use childbirth. I'll use my own situation. A 3-year-old and a soon-to-be 1-year-old. I'm whatever that looks like, I'm going to take that hit. Until you remember the other time when Lewis was like, all right, he's here now, or she's here now. Like, when does it even out? I understand what he's saying now, even though my kids are younger. Like, we can't stay on that forever, but I'm willing to take that hit into a certain point until it's like, okay, look now, where's the progression?
Boy, 18, goddammit.
And I'm gonna leave it at this.
Hey, go ahead, man.
Boy, 18, goddamn.
And I'm gonna leave this example, and I'll give you this. My wife super OD tired. Baby, I need this weekend. Let me chill. Cool. You know what my thing was? Tell me whatever you need. But once I give you what you need, I need you back to where you say you're gonna be. And people don't like that. Tell me what you need. I give you everything you need. I do everything you need me to do for however long you need me to do it. But once I do it, make sure whatever you said I'm doing is going to result in what you said you're going to be.
So there's no room for trial and error.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this. Let me give you in real time. Say if you say like, yo, I'm tired as hell this Friday. I'm tired. I don't need to do nothing. I need to go to bed. Like, yo, I really need to go. I really need to rest. You go to sleep this Friday night. You wake up Saturday. You better, but you're not all the way 100. Mm-hmm. You got to know yourself enough to know, so like, babe, I need some more time. Straight up. Like, I just ain't me. Give me some more time. Now, you go take that time and you come back and you still not 100%. Now, you got to be like, okay, you know what? This is what I told her. So I got to get back to it, whether I'm 100% or not, but this is what I said.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying
you own it. It's up to you to own whether it worked or not. Not just
And Lewis, it's up to you to know what replenishes you. I'm an extrovert. I go party with people and have just as much energy as my wife have when she chill in the house by herself. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm good now. I done partied a little bit. So I think it's up to people. I'm sorry, man. I went off on a rant. I know I went off.
Not a little bit. He don't party a little bit. He don't believe in that.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, bro. Yes, I do, bro. Don't do me like that, man. Yeah. Hey, I know it's like hour 122, but we got to get into our bad habits, y'all, and then we're going to get out of here. I've been ranting tonight. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Am I tripping? Hey, I really need to know from y'all. Am I tripping on what I'm saying? Like from a real place? What part?
Somebody please validate his feelings so we can move on.
Yeah. Hey, yo. Hey, he need to fire. Hey, Lewis, drop the fire emojis in the chat real quick.
Yeah, man. Ain't nothing wrong with
that. Put up there. My boy bitten tonight.
I'm done, bro.
Oh,
hey, Donald.
Boy.
Does that make sense?
Because I can't be saying what I be wanting to say sometimes.
Yeah, man.
Nah,
now. Shit.
Nah, y'all niggas be leaving niggas hanging too.
Nah, we don't, bro.
Niggas sitting there like,
and talk another 30 minutes. Am I crazy again?
Lewis is wild tonight.
Yeah, I ain't saying that, bro. He got it. He got it.
No, I'll just stop. I'll just stop.
For the joke I made last week or the other episode.
Yeah, but I'll just stop seriously. So, does what Kenan said make sense, y'all?
No.
Not Britt said no.
I don't know anymore.
Britt said no. Britt said no.
It doesn't. No. It makes sense. Do I agree with it? No, not all of it.
Okay.
Let somebody she know cry longer than she want them to, and then it'll make sense.
Hey, y'all almost got me there, y'all.
Moving on to bad habits. Now because Lewis talked that trash, I'm moving off the floor. Anybody would take their habit that's hindering him now? I got mine, and I'm gonna jump up out of there, but I'm gonna wait. I texted today too, so y'all should have it.
I don't have bad habits. None, zero.
Hey man, is there any way I can remove her from the stream, bro? Let me see if I can do that. Princess J. Lewis, is there anything that kind of haunts y'all, or you can't that you're trying to work through that you continuously do that may hinder where you're at or where you're trying to go?
I'm naive.
Ooh.
What?
Okay.
For real?
I assume there's more good in people than there actually is.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Anybody, family, friends, associates?
I'd say it just in the world. You know what I mean? You assume people have, because you having good intentions, because you have 9 times out of 10, I have good intentions, and I assume other people do as well. And that's just not the case. You know what I mean? People lie to you. You know what I mean? Like, people have ulterior motives. People will use you, right? And people really don't mean what they say sometimes.
For sure.
Right? So that, to me, because I don't operate that way, I feel like I get, not I feel like, but it works against me because I just assume good intentions, because I operate with good. I could say that I wholeheartedly operate in good spirits with good intentions.
For sure.
But yeah, that's really not the reality.
All right, who next?
I mean, I'm gonna just piggyback off what Lewis was saying. I tend to do that a lot, man. Just because I'm big on character, big on mine is just basically thinking people think like me, and that's not reality. People do not think like you in every situation, so you have to give grace to some people and understand that people view the world from all different lenses. That's one of my biggest problems.
And I think people operate in the chapter of life that they're in. We hold expectations of our friends, of our family members, whatever. They'll always be that person. But when we start moving up the ladder and they're still down here, or they move up the ladder, we're still down here, we have an expectation of them that's not always valid because they're not in that space. They're not on the level that you're in.
That was good.
It was. People operate in the chapter that they're in.
That was really good.
It was.
That was good.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Clipping that.
Oh, let me add one more too. You also
hey, Lewis done shut me down for the night, bro. It's all yours.
But another one for me is like, you also have to realize that people don't view you how you view yourself. So you may think that you're just a outstanding individual, but you also have to be open to reality of somebody else viewing you, because they have their own life experiences and things they may have internalized that they haven't shared with you. But a lot of people don't view you like you view yourself.
Yeah.
I could give a shit about who I'm just playing.
Hey, I ain't say you had to care about it. I'm just saying that's where a lot of people, somebody might say something, you looking like, what? Like, they might say, you selfish as hell. You will pause for a second. You're like, wait a minute. I'm the most unselfish person. And then you'll start elaborating, but you don't realize that you just may have done something to them that wasn't up to their standard, and that was considered selfish from their point of view.
That's a good point.
Yep. Okay, y'all dropping gems.
That makes sense.
It does. Hey, does anything I said make sense?
Yo, I don't want no smoke, man. I don't want no smoke, bro. I don't want no smoke.
Hey, you know we love you, bro. Get out of here, bro. Hey,
man, we love you, man. Just let it go, man. Let it go.
Let what go. I hate when the sensitive nigga try to make you seem sensitive. I said I was good.
Oh, my bad, bro.
Gaslighting at his best. Go ahead. Gaslighting at his best. Go ahead, Princess.
I think for me, probably 2 is not setting boundaries and also not taking time for me.
Yep.
Princess, whoa, you don't.
I know. I was about to say the same thing, bro. I didn't want to
say. How much more time you need?
You said how much what?
How much more time do you need?
I'm not gonna answer that.
Hey, Louis, was you saying that
Jay? Because I'm not gonna go there with you.
Jesus Christ.
There's something going on we don't know
about? You said
you
don't believe that? Is that what you said?
No, I'm gonna be honest. As blunt as you are, I would find it hard for you not to set boundaries with
people.
I
couldn't see you. Like
I can't see that, and I'm not saying this. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying, from the information and the person I know, that's an interesting thing that's the case.
Yeah, that's like the polar opposite.
Yeah, but I feel like y'all only see me from like a certain perspective, but my life looks a little different for the people who are closest to me or the people that I love, because I'm very loyal, very protective, I'll do anything for the people who mean the most to me. And sometimes
They don't mean nothing. Got you.
in the event, in that event, I don't take care of myself enough, or I don't set the correct boundaries. It's not that y'all don't mean nothing.
Thank you. I was like, damn, is she gonna respond to that?
Nah, she said that boundary.
She really didn't.
Yeah, like it's all good, bro.
It's
Like,
so crazy.
Hey, she was keeping it moving on that one.
But nah, yeah.
okay.
But I could see why you would think that. But sometimes, yeah, I just have to take time for myself, like especially when I'm moving and shaking a lot. Like the people who are closest to me may ask something of me, and like physically or mentally, like it's really a no for me, but I'll push myself because of whoever that is in my life that's asking whatever of me, and I'll still say yes when deep down I know it really should be a no.
Mm.
Like I'll go above and beyond.
Is that a protection thing? I don't want to say presenting, but you being princess in one space and the princess in another, is the princess in this space to preserve energy for the princess in the other space?
A good question.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good question.
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a deep question.
I mean, I didn't mean to be like that. I'm just was, asking really out of curiosity.
I don't know if I know how to respond to that.
Damn.
That's
You said is the say it again.
So like, is the princess that I'm gonna say we know, but I'm gonna use we as a generalized thing. Is that princess presented in a certain way because that princess can preserve the energy for the princess that doesn't have boundaries for the other ones that she loves? So going back to like capacity, does this preserve your capacity for the things that you don't have boundaries for? Is that why you have to present like that in spaces outside of that one? Does that make sense now?
Are you saying present like that because do I present as if I have a wall up? Is that why you're asking me that?
No, whatever parts of princess that we're not getting, do you have to preserve that because you have to use it so much for the people around you that you love?
I wouldn't say that I have to preserve it. No.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. Brittany, did you piggyback or you said yours?
She said she had
I did. I said I
she doesn't have bad habits.
Mine would be saying no. Mine would be saying no. That's a real life issue for me. Is understanding what my capacity looks like and knowing when to say no. Like today, for instance, was just one of those days where I should have said no at least 5 times and I didn't. So now I'm approaching like a burnout phase, legit burnout. So that's just a bad habit because I do it I don't tell anybody no. No one except my children. That's it.
That's basically, that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah. I have a hard time saying no, especially to the people who, are in the things that matter to me. For example, like there's nights, let's take the pod, for example. There's like Jay travels, I travel, like different stuff come up. We have long Mondays and sometimes Mondays feel like a no, like doing this every other Monday. But because y'all matter to me and I care about what we're doing here, I still push through when sometimes I know that, like I really would have loved to go to bed earlier, like because I needed that mental reset, but I will push myself further for what means the most to me and what matters.
I appreciate that. I do for real. In a real way. I do.
Too. I appreciate that too.
For real. That's real. That's real.
that was a comeback. No, but that was a comeback for her.
Hey, Brittany took offense. Brittany took offense.
Hey, Brittany, get her.
You about to get a text
at the Brittany, get her.
So like, Brittany about to be like, specifically, who don't you care about? Is it like them or like me? Like she about to ask. You need to know. That's interesting. That's interesting that you all. That is not what I would expect to hear. I think to not be long-winded because Lewis done got me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to Lewis. I think my bad habit is never revisiting things. So I think it hinders me because I reflect on them, I think about them, but I don't really revisit. Once something's done, it's done, and I don't think you can always be that way. I'm even learning that through my sibling relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just simply can't be that way. And I think what it hinders is not necessarily my growth, but it hinders my ability to be who God ask me to be for those people. So when I don't revisit them, I don't allow them the space to, like, for me to be who I need to be in their life. It may not look like the same capacity, but like usually, like, I'll give you an example in a professional setting. I rarely, if ever, go back to jobs at schools after I leave them. I just don't. But I never thought about what message that sends to the people that poured into me in that place, or the people that went out their way to make sure I got there. I don't ever. I may text, I may call, but I don't go back. And even from a family standpoint, like, I realize now that I'm able to go back because what you said, Brittany, really resonated with me, because I'm no longer that same Keenan. I'm not going to respond in the same way no more. And I've accepted that the person that you're used to responding, I'm not him. So I can go back now and be who I am and operate in this chapter. And I can talk to you in your chapter and not be judgmental, not be pushy or nothing like that. So just learning to go back to things that need it, because going back ain't always a bad thing, I would say.
Do you feel like you're detached from certain things? Like, are you letting go of the things that you don't want to revisit? Are you moving on from those things?
You want me to be? I'm gonna be OD transparent. I just feel misunderstood a lot. I feel misunderstood at almost every place I'm in. So it makes me not share. It makes me not go back and talk, because I don't feel like people really care to understand no way. So for me, I detach, yes, but it's not from a standpoint of, it's not complete detachment. I just feel misunderstood a lot. Like, honestly, like, a lot of conversations, like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do, or like who? Huh? Da-da-da. And once I'm like that, I go inward. It don't make me not know who I am. It don't make me judge myself. I'm like, oh no, that's not a space that I want to talk in. Because everybody that know me, like, if I talk a lot, then I don't feel misunderstood. But there's spaces where I'm on mute, like, oh no, I'm not gonna say nothing because you're not about to take it the wrong way. So to answer your question, like, no, I don't think I detach OD. I just think that for me, like, if I feel misunderstood, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I've accepted that everybody's not meant to understand my thought process, because everybody also hasn't done. This is what I'll say. No asshole. I've done a crazy amount of work to be self-aware. And if you operate in spaces where people aren't self-aware, they'll project on you, and make you feel crazy about yourself when that's not the case. When I know who I am and I know how I do. So instead of being misunderstood, I'm going to allow you the space to figure yourself out. So then we can meet back at a later point and we both understand who's at the table now.
Yeah.
So I realized back in the past, when somebody project, it will make me question myself. I'm like, oh, I didn't do that. And you're not about to make me feel like I did do that. Like, and back to the point why I had to apologize to Jay, I could still be wrong. Like, I could have thought I did something and I didn't. You know what I mean? But I'm also man enough to be self-aware that I can make mistakes. But the amount of work that I've done to learn people around me, to know what they care about, to know how they move, to know how to talk to them, I would say it's second to none. So I'm not going to allow people to project their lack of self-awareness and make me feel like I don't know me. Because I just don't feel like that's fair to me.
But Keenan, if that person or whatever gets themselves to a certain level where they can actually have a good conversation with you, are you open to revisiting that? Definitely. Or is it just a done deal because they weren't in that space when you needed them to be?
I in the past 10 days, I don't believe in cutting people off no more. I believe in letting go. It's the difference. I can let you go. I don't gotta cut you off, because I'm not here to spread a message of positivity and recreating and figure out understanding if I'm not going to be open to it on the back end. So I can't cut you off. I got to let you go for a little bit because not being open to that, to me, Princess, is being a hypocrite because that's what I'm about. Like reconciliation, moving forward. So I'm not going to not be that person no more. Cutting off take too much energy. I'm not about to do that. I could just let you go.
But letting go to be defined as being detached. In order to let go of something, you have to realize, you have to acknowledge that you were once attached to it.
Oh, for sure. It can reattach. So to answer your question, yeah, for sure, I would. I think for me the biggest difference is I've been in a place personally, my mother transitioning and my older brother who I grew up with, we've been in places where I've been completely, and Lewis helped me realize this. I always go back to him. He hate when I say it, but like, I think my experience with the people I grew up with in the house, the people that mold how you think. Like I've been in a place, obviously, because my mother transitioned and me and my older brother couldn't always see eye to eye, where I'm completely detached from that. So in those moments when I found myself and I detached from basically who I was as a person, it made me realize, like, I know me without my family. I know me without them. So once I learned that, there's no need for me to keep being like, oh, they cut off. Or, oh, no, I can't talk to you. There's no need for me to do that. I know who I am in that space and out of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'm done for my 40-minute rant tonight.
That was about 8 minutes.
Hey,
yo, you calmed him. Hey, yo, you calmed him.
Hey, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love it, bro. I love it. Hey, anyway, hey, I hope Lewis don't feel better. So, Millennials vs. the World, Monday Night Crew, we out. Hey.